Hi there, Internet. My name's Court, and you've got courtside seats for my spoilers review of What We Do in the Shadows Season 2. Let's do it. What We Do in the Shadows is a comedy horror fantasy series from creators Taika Waititi and Jemaine Clement and FX. Based on the 2014 film of the same name by the same creators, the show stars Kayvan Novak, Matt Berry, Natasia Demetriou, Harvey Guillen, and Mark Proksch. A look into the daily, or rather nightly, lives of three vampires who've lived together for over 100 years on Staten Island. Admittedly, I'm quite late to this show. I love the original movie, but I slept on this show until very recently. Like, I started watching the first season after the second season started airing. But I got caught up quickly because I really like it. I don't like it as much as the movie. I don't think the series is quite as clever and funny. It also doesn't help that it doesn't have Jemaine Clement and Taika Waititi, although they did have a cameo in season 1. And that first season took me a while to get on board, took me a while to get used to the new cast, but I really enjoyed season 2. Now again, this will be a spoilers review. I'm not going to touch on everything that happened in the season, but there are going to be specific things that I do talk about. So if you haven't watched it yet, you want to go in blind, turn off the video, hopefully you'll come back later. Cool? Cool. As I said, with the first season, I was liking it. I wasn't really liking it. It felt like the series took a while to get its footing, which happens a lot with shows, that's fine. But I have really come to love the new cast of characters. Nandor's great, Laszlo's great, Nadja's great, and I'm hopelessly attracted to her. What can I say? That goth thing just works for me. Guillermo's great, Nandor's human familiar, which is a term that makes me laugh every time I hear it. I don't know why. That said, hands down, my favorite of the main cast is Colin Robinson, the energy vampire. And he gets the best episode of the season for me, more on that later. The guy who plays him, Mark Proksch, he's also on Better Call Saul, I love him on that. But I think he's even funnier here. I really enjoyed the cameo of Haley Joel Osment as Nadja and Laszlo's new human familiar. Almost made me laugh again. He's slimy, he's opportunistic, and his transformation into a zombie, courtesy of Benedict Wong's Necromancer, was hilarious. It was also revealed at the end of last season that Guillermo is actually a direct descendant of Abraham Van Helsing, and as such, he's become an adept and accidental vampire killer. And they really lean into that whole premise, particularly in the second season, particularly in episode 4, The Curse, where he accidentally joins a vampire hunter society, and then that group infiltrates a house full of bloodsuckers, and it kind of devolves into almost like a Blair Witch Project parody. Everyone's got GoPros on their head and running around, and that worked for me really well. And I've always appreciated how the show gives us versions of various interpretations of movie vampires. And here in this episode, we get a single shot that's very evocative of The Lost Boys, which is probably my favorite vampire movie. I will say I did feel like late in the season they kind of abandoned the Van Helsing subplot, but then it comes back full force in the finale, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Episode 5, Colin's promotion, is in my opinion the best episode of all 2 seasons. He's always fed off the negative emotions of his coworkers, but now that he has authority, he ramps it up exponentially, and it's so good. He's giving people finger guns and saying things like, must be 5 o'clock somewhere, or working hard or hardly working, and you just want to strangle him. And it really felt like the writers were kind of channeling a little bit of Office Space with that. I was so hoping at some point he would say, looks like someone's got a case of the Mondays. Probably best they didn't go there, but it would have made me smile. And when we see his new powers start to manifest, like growing hair, flying, multiplying, I was laughing my silly little head right off. Enter Mark Hamill, a man that I love as Luke Skywalker and the Joker, as the hilariously named Jim the Vampire, who has a long-standing beef with Laszlo due to unpaid rent. I love this episode. Yeah, Hamill was doing a little bit of his Joker voice with a bit of an accent, but I don't care, I liked it. Laszlo goes on the run and assumes the identity of Jackie Daytona, who looks exactly like Laszlo except for a disguise of jeans and a toothpick, making it impossible for anyone to recognize him. It's the Superman thing. And when the two have their inevitable showdown, there were some great gags. Laszlo makes a pun about fire, and Jim the Vampire doesn't get the joke, until Laszlo blows fire at him, and then we don't even see it. We just hear it off screen, and you hear him go like, oh, now I get it. That killed me. And the gag with the soda water made me laugh out loud. For me, episode 7 did feel like a little bit of a filler episode, bringing back Nick Kroll's character Simon the Deceiver, who's back once again to try and get the cursed witch's hat from Laszlo. And while the episode had some really funny moments and a vampire Elvis, which, how do you go wrong with that? It felt oddly placed in the chronology of the season to me, because the previous episode focused on a character from Laszlo's past coming back for something, and then this, the very next episode, was kind of the same thing. That said, I really dig Nick Kroll in the role because rhyming is fun. Episode 9, Witches. This one also felt like a little bit of filler to me. Not that it was bad, it wasn't. It was funny, just not hilarious. I did really like the use of the goat Black Peter from Robert Eggers' The Witch, or the Vivitch, if you will. That was a nice touch. But a lot of the episode didn't do all that much for me. That said, when Colin Robinson and Guillermo and Nadia get stuck in the, for lack of a better term, waiting room, there was some really good stuff going on in there. It was funny, it was genuinely creepy. I like that part. And I really enjoyed the finale, which is a straight parody of the Theatre des Vampires sequence in Interview with the Vampire, which is another movie that I love. They bring back Jemaine and Clement's character, which is fantastic. And he actually uses a couple lines pulled directly from Interview with the Vampire. He even inflects them the way Stephen Ray, the actor, did in that movie. I appreciated that. And the climax has Guillermo going full Van Helsing and massacring the entire audience of vampires. That I absolutely loved. The episode did end really abruptly though. I found that very odd. That didn't work for me super well. And as fun and funny as I think this series is, one thing has been kind of gnawing at me, particularly in the second season. I've begun to notice that, while it is ostensibly a documentary, and the show occasionally brings the crew into the scene, and the vampires mug at the camera, it feels like the show sometimes forget that the crew is supposed to be there and be part of the scene off camera. There are certain scenes that feel more like a narrative story. I'm thinking in this scene, there would be a camera person and a microphone person and a lighting person, and the show kind of forgets that they're there, and it feels a little off. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, I don't know, but I did get that impression. Still, I had a wonderful time watching season 2. I definitely like it more than season 1. It gels a little better. I feel like the performers are more comfortable and confident in their characters. And as I said, Colin's promotion was brilliant. So those are my thoughts on What We Do in the Shadows season 2. And now I want to know, have you watched the season? What did you think about it? Who's your favorite character? What was your favorite episode of the season? Whatever your thoughts, hit the comments below. Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this review, please smash that like button and give it a share if you really enjoyed it. And hey, why not take a second, do me a favor, click subscribe and ring that bell to subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, entertainment news, trailer reactions, all that good stuff. Hope you guys are all safe and healthy. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.